Settle down. Welcome back, ladies and Jews, to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I am, as always, Chat Show. How are you? We're coming to you over a very auspicious weekend. Let's just put that over there. Because some of us played poker for 12 and a half hours yesterday.
Ooh.
Well, it's a big annual tournament.
Yep.
For Determined to Succeed and Geffen Playhouse. They both, the two benefactors, and then send all the monies earned, a couple $100,000, I think, at least, to these great charities. And it's for the kids, for the kids, for the kids. It's all for the kids.
Hashtag for
all
the
day
kids.
long, for the kids. And then someone pointed out, can you, Mr. Movie Trivia Reference King, tell me where you first heard the phrase, it's for the kids?
Oh, that's obvious.
Is it?
See, you say that because you already know what it is.
Well,
It's for the kids?
It's for the kids.
Hudsucker Proxy?
That's what I thought.
Close.
That's just
That's for kids. That's
Yeah.
just for kids.
No, it's for the kids. Home Alone?
Oh, Home Alone.
Macaulay, man.
You think it's the first time?
It got into the sort of entertainment vernacular. At any rate, all day long, no matter what you did, someone would qualify it with, it's for the kids.
Sure.
Yeah. Even at the pizza station, the coffee station.
Hey, I had 2 blue crab hand rolls for the kids.
Yeah, for the kids. Yeah, it's all for the kids.
You have to.
There was the massage tables. It's for the
I got a
kids.
massage for the kids.
There was a hooker table.
That's for the adults.
No, that was just the one woman at your table.
Oh, right. Boy, wasn't that something. Yeah. So anyways, I, last year, made it to Heads Up from all the players down to just 2.
Wow.
And I talked about it on the show. It was a big, I won 10 days at a 5-bedroom house in Hawaii, and it was ridiculous. This year, J-Mac, our own research producer J-Mac, who deals, of course, my weekly game, if there were a weekly game in my house. He bought himself in, for the kids,
For the kids.
to the charity tournament. Lasted longer than I did.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing.
that's great.
And then Shaq, one of our pals, who is, well, I'll be announcing along with him soon this how to quit smoking thing. That's
You know, to everyone else in the world, that means Shaquille O'Neal, right?
fucking phenomenal. Yeah, it's not
Okay.
Shaquille O'Neal, sorry.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, it was like, feeling you.
Yeah, Shaquille O'Neal smoked the first 13 years of his life.
Amazing.
Yeah, he was going to be bigger. He would have been taller, if not for all the smoking. So in a way, it helped him.
Yeah.
Because he would have been a freak.
Too big.
Although we did meet him that one time. Was it Atlantis?
Yes.
Boy, we've derailed
In
here.
the Bahamas?
Yes.
And we shook his hand, and it was just literally, my hand disappeared. It was like a baby, baby little tiny, oh, look, that's cute. Look, I'm going to.
Yeah.
All right. So yesterday was great. Shaq won. He won the first year, and then this year, so twice in 5 years, same
Wow.
guy.
Wow.
Which is, as you know, Sam, as a poker player, that's not going to happen again.
Nope.
So I want to thank everybody at the Determined to Succeed and GeffenPlayhouse.com charity event, which was phenomenal. We're coming to you live on YouTube. Are you watching us live? If not, what the hell's the matter with you? Follow us on the Twitter and the Facebook and find out when the show is up. It's usually every Sunday, 2 or 3 p.m. on the Pacific Daylight Time. And join us. Upcoming shows, for example. I know they're here somewhere because I write them down. Do you like the show Hannibal? Are you enjoying the Hannibal? Brian Fuller, the creator and showrunner of that, he's going to be an upcoming guest. Mitch Hurwitz, Arrested Development creator and showrunner. And the ridiculously hilarious Jason Mantzoukas, who's just crazy with the funny. Bonnie Hunt, the delightful, and internet sensation filmmaker Freddie W., also known as Freddie Wong. Some of the upcoming guests. Sammy,
Yeah, buddy.
you missed a big Cubs game.
I did.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It was the one to be at so far here in Southern California this year.
Yeah, it may be the game
Game of the year
to be at for the Cubs.
for them.
the whole
Well, you
season.
know, they don't win a lot of games in extra innings, especially on the road. So
Yeah.
that was it was a tough one to miss. But it's all right. I'm going to make up for it. I'm headed to Chicago in a matter of hours, and I will be at Wrigley tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
See
So
you there.
folks want to come by for a little tweet up?
If you want to hang out, grab a dog,
Can you
have an
tell
old
us
style.
your section you're sitting in?
Don't even know yet.
Really?
No. I'm just going to show up, and wherever
Are
they
ya?
put me, they put me.
Oh, because we could make a call.
Nah, I like
don't
to fly
bother.
with a seat in my pants.
Yeah, all right.
You
Good.
likes to frequent Cubs games. Harold Ramis.
Oh, well,
So
I'll
if
see
you
him
run
there.
into him, you have to call. You have to make him call me.
All right.
Yeah.
No sweat. We'll FaceTime you.
And Brian don't worry, he might be there. No. Oh yeah, we sat up front. Sat at the dugout.
Yep.
2 seasons ago. Jamie, anything? The Mad Men podcast continues.
It does. We got 3 more episodes of the series,
Right.
and then 4 more episodes of our podcast. So,
Mad
yeah.
Men, are you watching?
You
are
watch it.
watching.
No, Mad Men, you watch it.
You watch it. And look for that on the iTunes under New and Noteworthy. They're still listed on the fabulous iTunes, New and Noteworthy. Very exciting. We ask you to write us a review. Write to us somehow at contact@kevinpollak'schatshow.com. Let us know how you watch the show, when you watch the show, why you watch the show, or listen. If you're listening, we're on the Earwolf Podcast Network, which we're still unbelievably excited about, to the fine folks at Earwolf. And send in your Larry King games if you dare to contact@kevinpollak'schatshow.com. If I read one of yours or we show a video, if you're so bold to shoot yourself doing it, I think you know what I mean by that. I mean, do a little heroin beforehand.
That's.
Yeah.
Oh,
See, I went the other way.
you did go the
I had
other
3
way.
choices. Right, send it to contact@kevinpollak'schatshow.com, and if we pick yours, you'll get a damn T-shirt that says Larry's House of Shoes. No, that's not right at all.
We should make T-shirts that say that for bad
Kevin
ones.
Pollak's Chat Show, which our guests, of course, can't wait to give to, I'm guessing, the guy that cleans the pool.
Yeah,
Probably.
they help.
Yeah. All right. This is a real exciting, for those of you that are joining us the first time, and you've wondered why we've been rambling for the first 3.5 minutes and not gotten right to the guest. That's part of the tradition here. Welcome to the show. This is how it works. But now we can put it off no longer. This showed up in the mail, I'm going to say yesterday, day before.
Yeah, Friday or Saturday.
Is it at a correct angle? Are we enjoying any part of it? Let me know when it's, oh, look at that. That's Good Art Hollywood makes that ring, by the way. I'm going to plug everyone that I care about. Look at that. Just really kind of perfect. And then stay away. Don't come back to me. Oh, my God. Are you mad? Have you lost it? How do we get that? Oh, there it is. Better. Yeah. That should be on canvas, as I insisted to our guest today. That is pretty fantastic. And then our guest said, and I quote, "That's pretty much how I feel now with the show." Please welcome Michael C. Hall. What did you mean by that, sir?
Well, yeah, this is
Yeah,
more season 6, and now it's completely over my head.
Oh, I see. This
I'm
is season
covered in
6.
blood.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So it's all shot. It's all done. Announcements have been made.
It's not all shot. We actually have 2.5 episodes left.
Well, that's exciting as well.
93.5 down, 2.5 to go.
Holy. And
Yeah. I'm just staving off a nervous breakdown.
yeah,
Pretty much.
Yeah, we've got you
along
at the
with
perfect
everybody
time
else. Yeah.
because I was going to ask, foolishly assuming that you were done, how did the breakdown go? But now
Right,
we're still staring
right.
down the barrel of it.
Yeah.
Which is even more exciting.
Yeah, I'm about to go over the falls.
Well, see, here's the thing. The show is, because it's The Wonderful World of Cable, you get more than half the year off, technically,
It's true.
anyways.
It's true.
So you're used to a period of your life being so-called downtime for the last several seasons, if not since 2001, when you pretty much started working nonstop on the cable television.
Yeah, 6 Feet Under started,
Right.
and I did this almost immediately thereafter, so really this is the 13th consecutive year. And we shoot it at Sunset Gower, same lot. I think I might get an office there, just so I can go and
Might.
be there.
Yeah, or buy the place. So first question, you're aware that this isn't normal, the
I know.
13 years straight.
I have shit on both my shoes.
Yeah. You've stepped in it and walked through it, and then you're soaking in it. And so your friends who are seeking gainful employment, do they go out of their way to help you wrap your brain around what it means? What you've somehow dodged the last 13 years?
I am reminded by
Right.
colleagues and friends that I'm lucky.
Yeah. Well, have you
and,
lost friends?
Have I lost friends?
Because I think it's possible.
Yeah, I think that's in play sometimes.
Yeah.
There's a certain resentment, like, give me a little piece of your luck pie.
Right.
You know?
Throw me a bone, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just in our profession. I want to assume it's in all professions. That people are, in this town, you can see it on their face when you tell them some good news. First, they make the mistake of saying, hey, how's it going?
Right.
And what in fact they, or how have you been?
Right.
What they really are asking is, what are you working on?
Right.
So when you tell
And
them,
what they're hoping is nothing.
nothing, that's what they're hoping for. Yeah. If they know in your case that you're gainfully employed
Right.
and on a wildly popular show, then maybe I start to assume less and less people ask,
Yeah.
how's it going?
I feel like there may be a degree to which people relish the fact that it's ending. You know,
Oh, yeah.
just like, hey man, it was a great run though. It's like, come on, 8 years? It was rude. It was too long. Anyway.
Yeah. Yes. So 2.5 shows left to shoot.
Yeah.
Assuming you know how it's going to end,
Mm-hmm.
I won't ask because I know you're not at liberty to say.
Right.
Boy, that would really suck if you asked him and he was just, well, I told you I'd be honest, then just gives it all away. right
Yeah.
there.
Well, it wouldn't suck.
Yeah.
Why?
It would be historic.
Yeah.
But
They would end up airing this instead of the finale.
what we should have done was rehearse me saying, I know you can't tell us, and him saying, sure I can. And then launching right into it, and we just play it straight. Damn it, what a lost opportunity. So let's go to another place then with the show.
Yeah.
You became an executive producer fairly early on. And so one of the things the research in your dossier showed that to you a big part of that meant that you were like a union rep to the rest of the cast and maybe some writers. And that you were sort of one of your jobs in your own perspective was to look after this cast and crew.
Yeah, to be a voice for people who would maybe otherwise not be listened to.
Didn't have a voice.
Right.
Don't ever
Right.
have a voice. Yeah. So I read that and I thought, oh, well, obviously that's great. If you're number one on the call sheet, you're going to feel a little bit of that anyways. Or you're just oblivious, which happens.
Right.
But you're also opening up a door so now everyone can come through. So
That's true.
Was it the 7th guest star who came through that door where you finally said, yeah, not everyone?
You know, I didn't really think of it as like I was some sort of arm of the casting office.
Sure.
I wasn't trying to, attract other actors or friends. It was more about just providing a voice for the ensemble.
Yeah.
And if anybody had a concern that they felt wasn't being honored or heard, I could.
Right.
And I try not to cry wolf, I mean,
Yeah.
I like that it's a collaborative endeavor and I'm not trying to do anybody else's job. But this particular show is a many-headed creative monster. Some heads have been lopped off and other heads have emerged. And I guess it was sort of a formal recognition of a contribution that people were hoping I'd make, just because the show is subjectively told and it's all about Dexter's point of view and nobody really quite gets the character. I mean, he's pretty elusive. He seems more like an idea than a real person sometimes. And so I think they kind of wanted me to share with them my thoughts. So, and I don't know, people are, I was an actor for hire when I was on 6 Feet Under, certainly, but I was also, a sort of self-loathing funeral director. But when you're playing a serial killer, people will listen to you.
By nature.
Yeah.
By design.
They're like, well, he's pretty convincing. I think we should listen to him.
Yeah, but also
know.
as the narrator, as it were,
Yeah, it's
listening to your voice.
Oh man, I did a movie a couple of hiatuses ago, and there were moments where the camera would just stay on me, and I wasn't talking, and I realized I can think whatever I want right now. I'm not obliged to look like I'm thinking whatever it is people are hearing me say.
Let's take a little sidebar for a moment.
Yeah.
because I've been watching the Arrested Developments, and they started to make a joke out of it, where not only is Ron Howard the narrator used on that show for people's thoughts, but they started to do a thing where they're forcing the actors to look like they're thinking. To the point where, at one point, Ron Howard says he realized that he'd been thinking for 52 seconds, and perhaps he should say something.
Right.
I mean, they're starting to have fun with it. So, how long before? Because that was a part of every episode.
Yeah, I mean, initially, it's been a part of every episode.
Right.
Sometimes it's just exposition. Sometimes it's some sort of wry comic comment. Those are more fun.
Sure.
So, sometimes I feel obliged to think the thoughts. Sometimes it's too complicated to try to memorize it verbatim and think it, so I just have the spirit of whatever the thought is. Sometimes I figure out how long it lasts and I count to that number.
Great.
And what's really alarming is the less sort of I honor the idea that it's a real living thought, the better it looks.
That's the
Sometimes.
irony.
I mean, like we've shot footage of me sitting outside the apartment in Miami that we interject into an episode at a crucial moment, and I had no idea what it would be pertaining to, and I was just sitting there eating a sandwich, and it looked as good as anything I labored over.
Acted?
Where I knew So, I don't know.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, it kind of encourages you to be a little less precious sometimes about things. I mean, you don't want to just...
Well, you've mentioned a good word, precious, in terms of when you play one character for that long.
Yeah.
And you some weeks go on more interesting journeys than others for you. When you're in the middle of a week or a show where the journey is less than stellar, which, dare I say, mathematically is going to happen over 8 years,
Sure.
on occasion. I imagine you have to find ways to not, obviously you're committed, but to throw it away even more.
Well, you have to get, it's not like a normal acting gig after a while. You don't have to ask the same questions. Those questions have been answered. It's really about finding a way to not phone it in, but also get out of its way, because you know it on a cellular level. I mean, and also tolerate that you know it. Like I'll find myself doing habitual Dexter things, and there's some part of me in the back of my head going, "Oh yeah, you just push button number 5." But it's like, yeah, button number 5. I'm the guy, It's
I know which buttons to push.
It's a tricky thing, but it's not. It's when you make an open-ended commitment to a character like this, at some point, it's not the same job that it was initially, and you want to try to honor the integrity of the character and your performance, but you're not going to do that the same way you initially did it, because you've done that work. You have real memories from the set.
Yeah.
You don't have to imagine things.
Right.
It's tricky, but.
Well, I mean, if you were to give any advice to, I mean, when actors do a pilot, in theory they're signing a contract these days for 6 seasons, but you can't wrap your brain around at that point what it's going to mean to actually do it that long.
Right.
What are some negatives or areas of this could happen, mistakes, pitfalls, what have you, could you maybe recommend to avoid? Sillier the better, I would think.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Don't depend on craft service.
Think about your hairstyle. Do you really want to shave every day? Stubble is good. That's why Dexter has stubble, because I'd done 6 Feet Under and he was clean shaven, and I'd get the razor bumps and the ingrown hairs, and I got so sick of shaving. And they were like, "No, he's really fastidious. He should say," yeah, but he's aware that that's the profile he's avoiding, so he would have a little stubble. So I had this whole argument to justify the fact that I didn't want to shave every day.
Right.
Think about shaving, think about hairstyle.
Stop for a moment.
Yeah.
You won that argument.
I did.
Clearly.
Yeah.
And you never had to get to the point of saying, look, I'm not shaving. I
Right.
don't want to shave.
Right.
So if you can't embrace my justification, hear me now and believe me
Right,
later.
right,
I
right,
don't want to
right.
shave.
We could just do it that way too. I could just straight up refuse with no justification.
But you
other
never
than
had to say
not
that.
wanting to. Yeah, I like to try to.
They bought the justification?
Embroider it with my integrity.
Yeah. But this is why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Please, there are very few actors who get to play
Right.
any.
I don't know. I mean, I think I'd be better able to answer this, 5 years from now when I'm in
Sure.
some sort of facility
Yes.
recovering
Right.
from. I mean, there's probably a degree to which being welcome to continually invest in this fictional persona results in you maybe, I wouldn't say not investing, but disregarding who you are without it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think a part of the anxiety has to do with, like, I had these sort of intense people to sort of legitimize my sense of being a person who exists.
Right.
And without them,
Yeah.
what am I really?
Well, that's what I was saying earlier about you've had 6 months or more off every year of the show.
It's true. I mean, there's a good amount of time, downtime, do other things if you can.
Tremendous amount of
travel.
downtime.
But you're still tied to those railroad tracks, and
Of
the
course.
train is coming.
Well, in your mind, I'm 5 months away from returning to work.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
3
still,
months away from
it's
returning
still
to work.
simmering in the oven or
Right.
whatever.
No, you've got to keep it around.
Yeah.
Even if it's just the kill suit in the closet,
Right.
as it were. Yeah. So I think it's I don't mean to beleaguer, but I think it's pretty fascinating the idea of, well, first of all, I think when you go to work and you're on the set and you know the crew and it's largely the same people in the various departments, there's a sense of family and there's a sense of I'm really looking forward to seeing all those people again. Whether or not you dread that there's only 2 months left of your hiatus, I imagine that's a part of it too. The fun, good part.
Absolutely.
I
and
can't
mean,
wait to see these people again.
And I take some pride in having been the one who shows up more than anybody from an acting standpoint and, tries to bring something to the table every time. And that has resulted in a lot of people maintaining employment. And,
Yes. Yeah.
It's a real family, and every person's an entire world. So there's just all these swirling universes of what the past 8 years have meant to all these people, what it means collectively. It's a pretty heady time.
Yeah. Let's go into the deep recesses of the phone conversations with either agents, lawyers, or managers. Oh my! During those moments of renegotiation. You must carry a little bit of whatever I decide here is going to affect 87 people and not just me. What I like about those conversations and the few experiences I've had just in terms of doing sequels, because those few catbird moments that come up in one's life, catbird seat, you've had that now for several years or several opportunities throughout the process, where the representatives on the phone are saying, I think this is the number. We hold out for this and we get this. And then they come back with their number. And their number's crazy in the real world, not in the context of the world that you're working.
Right.
Whatever those numbers are. So I just know, and I'll just pick a round number. So if my agent is saying they've come back with 300,000 and we think we can get 350. I'll say, yeah, get the 350. And they'll say, yeah, they came up to 320. And we want to say, are you really going to blow this deal over $30,000? And I'm thinking, do we really want to blow this deal over? Why are you asking them that, you idiots?
Right.
So when the numbers get blown up to millions upon millions, and I imagine it just gets crazier. Do you have someone in your team that you just say, you know how this shit works best? I mean, when I look at your dossier, I see an artist, a devoted artist, through theater for your whole life. I don't see a lot of businessman first. There are several of us. I consider myself like 60% business and 40% artist. So I'm always kind of in awe of people who seem 80% artist.
Well, you know, I've been lucky in that the things that I've done that have been the most commercially viable or lucrative have also been the most artistically viable. I mean,
That's rare. That's crazy.
you know, the
That
6
doesn't
Feet
happen.
Under and Dexter are both unique in television and take a lot of chances. They've also been the jobs that put me on the map and paid me the most money.
Yeah.
So, sort of having my cake and eating it too.
That is true. That's all ridiculous.
Yeah.
In fact, we mentioned the since 2001 gainful employment, but also, has there been one year that you haven't been nominated or won either a Screen Actors Guild, Golden Globe, or Emmy Award since 2001? The answer is no. You've either been nominated or won, or part of ensemble that was nominated or won every single year.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's all downhill
Yeah.
from here.
Oh no, you need to buy an island, sir. You need to enjoy a little time, and just say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of which, you mentioned it in passing. You finished 6 Feet Under. Phenomenal experience.
Yeah.
We'll get into some of the background of that. It's pretty interesting how you work with Sam Mendes on
Cabaret.
Cabaret, and then the workshopping also of the Sondheim piece.
Mm-hmm.
And right around that time, he's working with Alan Ball on American Beauty, and the next thing you know.
Yeah, it's like multiple serendipity.
Yeah. But those are the things, man. Those are the moments that actually put the train tracks together. You finish 6 Feet Under, and your mindset is, okay,
Yeah.
done with that.
Yeah.
That was 5 seasons?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I imagine is probably over 6 years, maybe the way they shoot and stuff.
Actually, it was just, we went pretty quickly, so
Okay.
it was about 5 years. Yeah.
That's a long run.
Yeah.
And you kind of dove in from mostly theater.
Pretty exclusively. Yeah.
Right. So it's not like you did 9 failed pilots and then 6 Feet Under.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of had that ridiculously great experience.
Yeah.
But it's still a 5-year job,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of which it's easy to say, all right, we've got to go in a different direction. Maybe you were thinking, let's go back to theater.
I had purchased a place in New York. I was moving back to New York. Went to a trip to Italy for a vacation, and came back and was pursuing theater jobs and wanted to get some kind of ball rolling on the film front.
Yeah.
But yeah, the last thing I thought I'd do was another TV show.
And you probably, I'm guessing by page 5 of the script, I envision you literally, this is what I envision. Maybe you're reading it on an iPad, I don't know, but it's this. Fuck.
Yeah. Dexter, you
Yeah.
mean? Yeah. I talked to my agent at the time and just said, I picked apart their aspiration to create some sort of tone where people would give a damn about a serial killer, and just like, this is the last thing I need. It's just some other angle. I'm going to be surrounded by dead bodies again.
Right.
Because it's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
And then I read it again
Aye.
and again,
Aye.
and I read the book, and I looked at the landscape business-wise where people's imagination
Yeah.
began and ended with David Fisher.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to get a chance to play like a part like this
No.
anywhere else.
No.
And why not TV? I mean, it's
Yeah.
a great time. So I was like, what am I, an idiot? I'm doing this, you know. But yeah, my initial response was all about resistance and
I'm
pushing
sure,
it away.
like even when they sent you the script initially, were you of such a mindset that you said, I said don't send me any,
Right.
was it that adamant, or were you just,
Well, I think it was presented to me. We know that, you know, this is probably not something you want to do generally, but we think you should take a look at this one because of the people involved. And
Right.
and Bob Greenblatt was involved, who had been a producer on 6 Feet Under and went to
at that point was
original
running
program at
Showtime.
Showtime. This was sort of his first thing. And Michael Cuesta, who directed the pilot and many episodes of the first season, was a director on 6 Feet Under. So all these people I knew, they had thought of me independently, which is another thing.
yes.
It's being offered to me, so I'm like, okay, this can't be good. I don't have to audition. This can't be good. You know.
Nothing good will come from this.
Yeah.
If they want me to be #1 on the call sheet.
Right.
Bought a place in New York. You're
Yeah.
ready
And the next
to-
thing I know, I'm back in Los Angeles.
Could you get back into the same studio, by the way?
Yeah. I mean,
Are you kidding me?
and you know, it was 5. I was 35, I think, when 6 Feet Under ended. 5 out of 35 years is the equivalent, percentage-wise, as now that I'm 42, as 8 out of 42 years. Is that right?
That's crazy.
Anyway, yeah, the same sort of percentage of my life. So I need to do another show that will last, I don't know, probably
15
like,
years.
yeah, 15.
Yeah, no kidding. Fuck. I mean, honestly, I think, I mean, have people over the years of the success of the thing, have people, I mean, I imagine trips to Comic-Con, for example, must have been insane.
Yeah, the first time we went there, Dexter kind of coincided with Comic-Con expanding as a, something that went beyond the initial comic book convention. And it was tailor-made for that audience. It's not based on a graphic novel or anything, but it feels like it might be.
Yeah.
And so it appealed to that. It was right in the wheelhouse of that audience. And yeah, we realized that it had really caught on.
Right. Yeah. And so did they keep you off the convention floor and bring you in a back door? Because you can't walk through.
We went to the back door.
Yeah. The way they brought in Elvis. I think he was the first Comic-Con. What
Yeah.
do I said, man?
Yeah.
I believe that's a quote. Yeah, pretty spectacular, right?
Yeah, it's as close as I can't play an instrument, so
Right.
it's as close as I'll come to.
But I mean, I notice you've avoided Twitter and Facebook, all social
Yeah.
media. So to face your fans is odd. Individually, when
Yeah.
they come up at an airport or a thing, but a room full.
Yeah.
In this case, a hall full.
Yeah, it's I mean it's I don't feel connected to it personally in a way. I mean, we do the show and I feel like it's about the show. It's about the character. I don't feel
You're able to say,
This
that
is-
thing is cool too,
Yeah.
as a fan yourself.
Yeah, I try to.
Right.
I mean, as far as the social media stuff, it's not some sort of philosophical, like, I think I'm just, it's not my predisposition.
Right.
I actually like the fact that I have some degree of celebrity or fame because it allows me to justify not doing the stuff that I'd be given a harder time for not doing otherwise.
Right.
I probably wouldn't be on Facebook anyway.
Right.
But.
Yeah. But your friends can't give you as much shit because
Yeah.
now you have an excuse.
Sure, like, well, of course you don't do it. I'm like, I wouldn't do it anyway.
Right. We do ask the fans of this particular show to write in guests either live or ahead of time.
Okay.
They write specific questions designed for the guest. Sometimes we ask them to put them in a series of 5 rapid-fire questions that we call Tweet 5.
T5, T5,
That sounds-
T5 forever now.
I should
Nice.
just say T5 because that's what Keckner's singing. He's singing T5.
He is singing.
He's not singing Tweet 5.
Right.
That's just how it started. So they've designed a 5-question, this or that, Coke or Pepsi, no correct answer, opinion only. Designed specifically for you. Are you ready? This
yeah.
one comes from @JWJ170104. It's a friend of yours, right, Sam?
Really?
I know, that sounds almost like a bot.
That is a bot.
No. Well, the bot's very good at T5s because they've done. Fave spouse Julie Benz or Matthew St. Patrick? That's a legitimate question. That's a bot. That's a bot. That's not a real
That's
fan.
not a- no.
Only a bot. can
Only a
write
bot
that.
would get that devious.
Your answer, sir. Favorite spouse?
Julie Benz.
Yeah, that's correct. Showtime or HBO?
Showtime.
Cabaret or Chicago?
Cabaret.
Broadway or TV?
TV.
Fave sibling, Jennifer Carpenter or Peter Krause? Come on. These are not easy, sir. That's pretty good.
Jennifer Carpenter. Sorry, Peter.
Yeah.
I'm all about the now
Yeah.
with these answers.
Yeah.
I think you're maybe one of the first people to have said TV over Broadway. Because, and you know where I stand on this, but so many people who do theater and then wind up doing TV or film, they always go, oh, well, no, the stage is. It's like, well, if you've done both for a really long time,
Yeah.
and you're not full of energy and in your early 20s, I totally would say TV.
Well, let's
Yeah, talk about being tied to the train tracks, man. Doing 8 shows a week on Broadway.
let's talk about that.
Okay.
Please.
There were times when I was doing cabaret where I'd walk from my apartment on the Upper West Side, and we had 5-show weekends. Like, we'd do a show Friday night, 2 Saturday, and 2 Sunday, the second starting at 7. So basically over 48 hours you did 5 shows. And I would just weep a little bit. It was like, I was so tired. And that was when I was 29.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is how you started in theater.
Yeah, I acted in plays when I was a kid, and sang in choirs and did some singing and musicals. But I thought real actors were like grown on another actor planet. I didn't know anyone who was an actor.
Sure.
Nobody in my family was in show business, so I didn't really think of it as a legitimate career choice until probably halfway through college.
Right.
Even though I'd been acting all the time, and probably it was almost like a secret I was keeping from myself.
Yeah.
That's what I really wanted to do.
It was fun.
Yeah. But I knew that I liked it more than anything. But
You weren't going to let anyone know. You weren't going to confess to anyone because you were thinking, well, they're never going to buy this.
exactly, you sort of keep your most precious dreams to yourself so that nobody will poop on them.
Or talk you out of them.
Right.
Or insist that's simply not possible.
Right.
Did you have any of those naysayers when you eventually came out, as it were? As a full-blown actor?
I don't know that I had people who straight up naysayed, but they were just sort of lukewarm about it. Like, oh yeah, well, you know, you're a decent actor. You could maybe make a go of it. You know, it's just like, thanks.
Yeah. I mean, the rejection from auditions is one thing.
Yeah.
But I may have told the story of the first manager I met with out here. I came from San Francisco, stand-up comedy, decided I wanted to be an actor, came out to Los Angeles. You know, there's a lot of showcases at the comedy club, the improv, what have you. I'm going on auditions, and then someone says, you should meet with this manager. So I met with the manager, and the manager gave me some sides to read. I said, well, give me a moment. I went and worked on the sides and came back, and this was in her condo. And I did the scene, and then she said, okay, listen, not everyone's going to be an actor. Who wants to be? And the stand-up comedy is going well. So she looked after me. That was good.
Yeah.
So rejection from not getting a job is one thing.
Right.
It's that one-on-one. So you didn't have any of... someone must have said, work harder, young man. Well, not too badly, otherwise it would have sprung to mind.
Yeah, I had really great teachers. Like in grad school, I went to NYU. They said some great things to me, like my clown teacher, or games teacher, Jim Calder, said, you know, I think you're great. You just need to let go of your fear of being an asshole.
Holy shit.
Which was a really good thing to hear.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And another guy said, you know, it's not always a nail you got to hammer in. Sometimes it's just a thumbtack. That was a good one.
Whoa. I need a
was good.
stand-up double, sir, not a home run.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
But, yeah, and as far as, like, family and stuff, it was all just sort of like, yeah, he'll get over that eventually.
Right.
You know.
Right.
My mom, certainly not a stage mom, but didn't forbid me either. She just was sort of Switzerland about it all.
Nice.
Like, you know, which I appreciate.
Yeah. Let you find your own way, fail or otherwise.
Yeah.
Another graduate of the Tisch School of the Arts. We've had several here. We should set up some sort of dinner for them all.
Yeah. When's that happening?
When is that happening?
Let's not overextend ourselves.
Any auditioning nightmares before landing your first major role in the Macbeth?
Oh, well, this wasn't actually. This was after that. But I did while I was doing cabaret. I was just ravaging my voice, and you know, the more decay you were simulating, the better in a way. And I went in to audition for this musical that Marvin Hamlish had composed the music for. Passed away this year, I believe.
Did that prick die?
Yes, he did. We lost him.
And
that's a quote, by the way.
That's nice.
And I was not ready and
No, sir.
couldn't sing those songs. And there was it was to play a jazz musician, band leader, and there was a section in the song where he was supposed to scat.
Uh-oh.
And I've discovered that it's you know, that's an improvisational kind of thing, but I've discovered it's good to have a map. And I didn't have a map, and I completely butchered it.
Scat
and
map?
then there was this big high note at the end that I knew I wasn't going to be able to hit. And so and I'm just not even gonna sing it. And he looked at me like I just, shit on his mother's grave. He was so disgusted. And I looked at Nicholas Heitner, the director, and I said, should we read the scenes? And I did, and I left, and I don't know. That was a particularly bad one.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, boy. Let's talk a little bit, if we may, about filling insane shoes. You mentioned the cabaret. Now, a guy wins a Tony, and they say, you're next.
Yeah.
Amazing opportunity to reinvent something, and if you can own it after a guy wins a Tony, all the better. But initially, that sort of trepidation and...
Horrifying.
Yeah.
I got a call at noon to come in for a work session at 6. It wasn't quite an audition. I'd done the workshop that Sam Mendes had directed, and I think he thought I would be coincided with Alan Cumming leaving the show. And I did the work session, which lasted 45 minutes. Didn't tell anyone that I'd played the MC in college and knew all the music. They're like, wow, a quick study. Yeah. And they told me I had the job at like 7. And I went and watched the show for the first time and thought, holy shit.
That's not what I did in school.
I am in big trouble. I was excited, but I knew that
You watch Alan Cumming.
he was a living icon of that role. I mean, this reimagined production, this phenomenal performance. He was burned in the back of my eyelids. He was in my dreams at night. I remember sitting, having a dream, and he walked out, and he was like 17 feet tall.
Literally.
Yeah,
in the
like
dream.
that's how on the nose that was. But yeah, those first performances. Plus, you can't rehearse that show. You just get ready to rehearse in a way because your scene partner's the audience.
Well,
so you're in a room by yourself. And I would drink a bottle of Pepto-Bismol over the course of every show because otherwise I would just be literally shitting my pants. I was so horrified. It's like being shot out of a cannon. And your job is to act as if this is your club and these are all your friends and you love them and they love you, and I'm just...
You love me, right?
But it was great. I think I realized that I had this sort of unconscious adversarial relationship with the audience that I'd never really been forced to examine, that they were this potentially critical body that maybe I shut out with the whole fourth wall. I projected onto them this sort of judgment and having to play that part, knocking that wall down and really redefining that relationship, I think really cracked me open.
Yeah.
I'm really thankful that I had to do that.
As you describe it, it seems like the perfect sort of introduction to the big leagues.
Yeah.
In terms of being an actor and connecting.
And
then how long was your...
I took a month off on 2 separate occasions, one to do the pilot of 6 Feet Under and one to do a more extensive workshop of that other musical.
Right, the song.
But it was 16 months.
Jesus.
I did it almost 500 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those of you listening or watching, unless you come from theater, you can't fathom the ridiculous nature of what you just said.
Yeah.
16 months.
Yeah. And my hair was dyed blue-black along with my armpits because the illusion was ruined when I put my hands over my head if I hadn't done that. And I had the time of my life. It was, taking the final bow in that show. It was such an incredible production, and it cracked me open. And as far as doing something again and again and again, that's different than most in that your scene partner is the audience, so you have a different room full of people every night.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were definitely some lulls.
Needless to say.
Yeah.
How drunk might have someone in your audience been during one of those 16 months that changed the dynamic of your performance?
The scariest was there was a man of German descent in the audience one night.
I'll say.
Who, when I was doing the If You Could See Her Through My Eyes with the gorilla, she wouldn't look Jewish at all. He was laughing at inappropriate moments. and just encouraging people to take issue with it.
You sing, but I'm singing.
It's wonderful. It was horrifying. Yeah. But yeah, we would get some rowdy people,
Because
or also
it's a-
people who pass out.
Oh, sure.
And I could spot them because I'd go out on these catwalks and I could come down and wake them up in the audience. And that was fun.
Was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's
Exhilarating.
also dangerous.
Yeah, I know. I fell off the stage one night and landed in a woman's lap. Great improv moment for me. I righted myself and I was okay, and I looked up and I said, I fell off the stage. That was what I came up with.
Wow. Some kind of. Let me go over this again. What kind of nutty genius we're talking about? 13 years, nominated or won every year.
I fell off the
I
stage.
fell off the stage.
Yeah.
So your love of writers. You came to appreciate them more and more.
Yeah.
Sam Mendes. Well, you had this. Also, first of all, 16 months after filling those shoes, I mean, we kind of ran past the lead there, which was whoever takes over this part
Right.
that Alan Cumming won the Tony for
Right.
is basically fucked.
Right.
So we've got to get someone that we can transition through until we get someone whose name we can put on the marquee that might sell some tickets. Because
Right.
we've got an established show,
Right.
a Tony Award
You know
winning
they're
show.
remounting that production, that Studio 54 with Alan Cumming?
No.
That's happening. And when he finishes,
Now we know what you'll be doing in a year.
yeah.
Somebody's not falling off the stage this go around.
That's right,
And
because
if
they're
they
going to
do-
put up a protective fence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Anyway,
So, but you take over this impossible opportunity, and then it runs with just you for 16 months, other than the 2 months that you took off in between that, or during that. Also ridiculous,
yeah.
if not unparalleled. I don't know. I mean, when Matthew and Nathan finished, 74 people took over the run.
Right.
In various ways
Right.
over the next 16 months. Not
Right.
one.
Right.
So, was there a time like when maybe you took a month off to do one of these things where you said, "Well, I can't go back"? Are there contract restrictions? How
There
does-
was, I had all kinds of outs for a television pilot.
Sure.
They had to let me out to shoot the 6 Feet Under pilot, and then when that went to series, I was able to get out of doing the show. But those 16 months went by pretty quick, and there were some things that came up, and they weren't worth leaving for. I mean, stage opportunities.
Right.
And I felt like there was something happening there, for me.
Sure.
And I didn't want to leave. I got to a point towards the end, before the 6 Feet Under thing happened, where I thought, okay, at some point I'm going to probably need to stop doing this.
Well, that's just it. Does it become like a fifth year of college?
Yeah, and it also, I mean, it was the first time I was really gainfully employed, like able to save money every week. And
Yeah, and you've also got famous people coming to the show and backstage. I mean,
Yeah.
this might have been your first introduction to a lot of these famous faces who were suddenly fans of yours.
Right. So yeah, I didn't want to.
Kill the fatted calf.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that really is extraordinary.
Yeah.
So it was 6 Feet Under as an opportunity as to why you ultimately had to leave.
Yeah. I got that pilot script, and it was phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
as good as it was, better than any screenplay or original play I'd read. It was sublime, and
Yeah.
and I felt like I had a sense of how to play David Fisher. In a way, because I was doing the MC, it was like all those doors that I flung wide open. If I just slammed them all shut, that's him.
Oh, wow.
So it was like, yeah, the MC on opposite day.
Yeah, Bizarro World MC.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty great. Let's see. I don't want to keep them out of this. Come back, won't you? Oh, look, it's another one. At Ray 20.
This is the 5.
This would
yes,
be another
no.
T5,
Okay.
David Keckner.
T5.
Sure.
T5.
Nobody gets tired of hearing that.
T5 forever now.
Nope. Okay, here we go. Rita or Hannah?
Hannah.
Working out or eating out?
Eating out.
Character actor or leading man?
Character actor.
Music or reading?
Reading.
New York or L.A.?
L.A.
I wish it had ended on a more trite question. New York or LA?
You want to do a substitute?
What about working out, eating out? Who would choose working out? What kind of monster?
Well, maybe someone, we talked briefly before going live, who saw the ridiculous nature of this man's physique during the movie Gamer. What the fuck?
That was just like my ripped moment.
Well, let me ask you. You seem like a guy who's happy to be fit as opposed to not.
Yeah.
In a general
I
sense.
feel better if I exercise, you know.
But you're going to take on a villain of a different nature that causes for, I better get a trainer and do this, 2 hours a day? I mean, what is the...
I went through a period, I guess, in the second season of Dexter where I got really into working out with this guy, and I read this book called Green for Life, and it's about how chimpanzee and human DNA is 99 point something identical, so we should eat like chimpanzees, and they eat leafy vegetables and fruits, and have jaws that can break the stuff down in ways that we can't, so you put it in one of those power blenders. And so I started drinking those monkey shakes and working out all the time, and I started losing all this weight, and I couldn't even gain weight after a while, my metabolism. So it coincided with that, and I was in the best shape of my life, and you know, did the season, did Gamer, did another season, and I got cancer.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, the monkey shakes brought the cancer on.
That's
what happened.
I mean, it
was either cancer or you're going to grow a tail.
pretty clear.
Yeah.
That's one thing led to another. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was sort of on the tail end of a fitness crazed moment for myself there.
Wait, so you're in the best shape of your life, and the doctor comes in after what, a general checkup or something, or?
No, I had swollen lymph nodes, and thought maybe it was associated with a cold, but it was a cold like I don't get colds, you know, everybody has a sort of way, they're like, oh, I'm getting sick.
Sure.
And it was different.
Tickle the back of the throat, what
It was
have you.
different. And then I had a couple sort of protruding right here. I would call them my alien eggs. They were like a couple of knuckles.
Okay.
And after a week.
Like your collarbone area kind of thing?
Yeah, just above. There's a little scar. They got biopsied. And it took them out, and they weren't alien eggs. They were cancer. Lymph nodes that were tested positive for Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Right.
And it was towards the end of the fourth season. And
you had a hiatus.
to get my ducks in a row for the treatment, I started treatment right after we wrapped and finished it before we went back and wore a wig for the fifth season. And whew, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the crazy detail is my father passed away when he was 39 from cancer. And I was 38 when I made this discovery. He turned 39 while I went through the treatment. It was an age I'd always anticipated, you know, that threshold when I'll be the age my father was when he was diagnosed and died from cancer.
Sure as shit.
Yeah, and so...
Because you caught it early?
I caught it early. It was also a very treatable form of cancer. I mean, I was presented with a landscape that was very positive from the beginning. They were like, you know what, given your age and your general good health and the fact that we know what to do about this particular
And we saw
cancer,
Gamer, and you're in great shape.
Yeah, yeah. You beat up the 300 guy.
I, too, will only think of Jared Butler as the 300 guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You did.
Only because I was able to freeze him with my mind.
Yeah. That's right. That dance number, by the way.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to do that. I read that. I was like, oh, that sounds unexpected.
Yeah, yeah, and great. So all those factors, they said, if you commit yourself to this treatment,
You're going to be fine.
Chances are,
Yeah.
you got the good cancer.
It would be, yeah. Well, I realized, you know, one thing I realized was the extent of my survivor's guilt about my father.
Great.
Because I knew I had it.
Right.
I get cancer, and instead of feeling like, oh, you know, now I have this connection, I was like, I got JV cancer. My dad got the real cancer.
Now you feel
Ate
bad.
him alive and killed him.
Now you feel bad again.
I got the kind of cancer that I'm not going to die from.
You're not worthy.
Yeah. Anyway, hilarious.
Yeah, that really is.
My takeaway from this is by staying home and ordering pizza and watching movies,
You will
I'll
not get
never
cancer.
get cancer.
That's exactly right.
That's a reasonable
That is the
deduction.
takeaway.
Then we're all set.
You're rock solid?
Good to go.
Yeah. Or is the theory, the takeaway, if you are in tremendous shape, you'll get the good cancer. If you eat the pizza instead of milk, again.
One of those requires effort on my part.
Right.
I'm going to blame it again on the monkey shakes. I'm going to
Yeah.
go back to the monkey shakes. I think the monkey shakes are the reason you got the good cancer.
It's the best way to eat leafy green vegetables.
By the way.
With little bits of chopped up monkey.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about,
Wait,
right?
no.
Oh, I think that's actually the mistake I made. I thought I was supposed to include monkey meat, and I only discovered afterwards that was not.
I'm not a physician, but I think we cracked this case.
Sidetracking wonderfully from the cancer to a little known fact that you would think I would have picked up on, given my alleged bio. You could potentially cough up a little Buffalo Bill for us.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, wait a second. Was she a great big fat person?
It's crazy
She a
good.
great big fat person.
That's crazy good.
Yeah.
Did you just stumble across that one day, or is this
I
in a
don't
secret
know.
arsenal?
I think I just, just stumbled. I can't really remember. I don't, you.
Well, no, but
obviously-
so for someone who does impersonations for far too many years,
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with a great many actors who have one or two
Mm-hmm. Right.
ridiculous ones that are effortless.
Right.
And I came from a different school, the stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had no formal training as an actor whatsoever. When you come to Los Angeles as a stand-up and you think you want to be in TV and movies,
Mm-hmm.
this is September will be 30 years ago. So we're talking before they were really handing out sitcoms to comedians. You had, just dreams, just pie in the sky crap, especially with no formal training. So what happens is you go on hundreds of auditions, and you eventually learn how to audition.
Right.
The notion was, I had secretly, unbeknownst to me, learned how to walk like someone, not just talk like someone, and physically inhabit a character. My first introduction to stand-up comedy when I was 10 years old was listening to Bill Cosby album. So before I knew it, I learned timing from a genius. By doing William Shatner, believe it or not, I learned, how to choose scenery, but also how to physically inhabit a character and be in the moment.
Right.
But I think it was the impersonations that helped me more than anything.
Right.
So I have this weird sort of theory that any actor who's gone on their own journey, it gets to a point where if they wanted to, they could kind of, I could do Christopher Walken. I worked with, we went into Sam Rockwell, and he had just, I think, he'd done the play, The Handing in Spokane that we saw, which was amazing. He had Christopher Walken in his, and of course, immediately with the qualifier, well, it's not like yours, but,
Right.
and then did it, and I thought, yeah, it's better. I mean, it's,
Right.
did you have any Zelig moments over the years where you, other than Buffalo Bill, where you found,
I think most of the impersonations I do are of older family members and stuff like that.
Great, I do Jamie's father, and for her family, it's the greatest thing that ever happened.
Right.
And it doesn't play in Cleveland at all.
Right. Right. My grandmother, she was someone who had not Alzheimer's. I think she was very, very with it, but she had trouble speaking and would only say something once every few days.
Wow.
But whenever she did, it was, everybody leaned forward. Oh my God, she's about to say something. What's she going to say? And I remember my Uncle Sammy telling a story, really kind of long-winded, a lot of embellishment, on and on and on. And we're sitting in the room with my grandmother and my grandfather and my other grandfather, who's sort of staring into the fire, and my mother, and he finally finishes the story, and this is, I swear, a really good impression of my grandmother. And she hadn't said anything in a few days. He's told this tall tale, and she just went, "Shut up." That's her, yeah.
Oh, the beauty of that impression, my friend, is that we don't have to have known your grandmother.
Right.
That's how good that is. That transcends voice quality. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stays with
Not
you.
a lot of, yeah.
You know, that's not one you forget a couple of years later.
No.
Shut up.
I
Oh,
went and
my.
told her that my first marriage was ending, or told my grandfather so he wouldn't worry. And
Right.
he went on and said, well, you know, tomorrow's only an idea and you can't get the past back and there's only right now and you're going to go on and on and on. And she looked at me and she said, never get it back. She was hardcore.
Wow.
She also said life is a battlefield that day.
Whoa.
She had two says that day.
Wasn't that Pat Benatar that first said that?
Love.
Ah, your grandmother knew the truth.
It was broader.
Which is that life, indeed,
the
is
whole,
the battlefield.
The whole thing.
Holy crap. Wow. That's pretty spectacular, though.
Yeah.
Several of these other wonderful characters, were you maybe subconsciously gathering these characters?
I think so. I mean, I think I knew that my grandparents and some of my older relatives were pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
You know, just characters and Southern, really sort of expansive.
The North Carolina?
Flowery way of, Eastern North Carolina.
Right.
Yeah. Flowery way of expressing themselves. And
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a pretty spectacular lineage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, both my parents are from a little small town in Eastern North Carolina.
There must have been some Civil War stories that worked their way to you.
Yeah, and plaques in the yard where
Really?
battles had taken place, and the whole bit. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would watch my grandfathers go at each other at the Passover table. They had both escaped the Cossacks from Russia, and
Oh, wow.
and they would yell at each other, and it was the funniest shit I'd ever seen in my life because
Yeah.
they were so angry, and there was nothing funnier to me.
Right. Then bottomless rage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that the extraordinary run that you've got 2.5 weeks left of shooting. You know, we've talked about the pitfalls and whatnot, and what you might miss in terms of the family. Mm-hmm. What will you not miss? What will like the 8 shows a week when you're walking in that 5th show over 48 hours and you're partly crying. You know, what are the things?
I will not miss rubber gloves.
Will you ever wear them again?
Well, you know, I've learned to never say never, but
yeah, right.
that smell that can't quite
That's not coming off.
go away.
not
You know,
coming off,
I
no.
can even smell it now.
Well, you probably worked Friday.
Yeah, exactly. The rubber gloves,
Stage blood, the fake blood.
the fake blood.
Yeah. I only worked with it for one movie, and I was so over it.
Oh, it's the
Been
worst.
working with
It's
it for
always
8
sticky
years.
somehow. They can't get the sticky
It's
out.
sticky, and also just continuity issues that come up whenever you're cutting somebody. That's really tedious.
I need the splat on your left earlobe.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna have to cut. It's at the wrong. The whole Dexter cutting the cheek, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Oh boy, I mean, that'll turn a 2-hour scene into a 5-hour scene like that.
Well, there you go. There's something. As an actor, when it comes to continuity, the script supervisor comes over and she says, "You didn't say."
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, maybe it's my lack of training and skill. Nothing annoys me more.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to establish early on.
Right.
Please don't take this personally. I may turn to you and say,
But I hate everything you stand for.
I'm going to do it however I want.
Right.
You need to keep track. Mm-hmm. You need to take your sip. And so you start to learn as an actor, well, you know, make sure you want to say the line either before you take the sip or after you take the sip. So now you've got blood splatter and all of that specific work. Does it start to become a part of your awareness?
Yeah, I mean, I think Dexter
has to
is a very prop-heavy performance.
Right.
There are all kinds of There was a game we played in improv class in grad school, or Expert. You know, you had to go up there and be a brain surgeon. Everybody fires questions at you, and you have to answer them as if you are, in fact, a brain surgeon and be convincing. And I guess I did that at 6 Feet Under, too. Like, I don't know how to embalm anyone, but if I act as if I know exactly what I'm doing, people will buy it, you know? And there are all kinds of little... We have technical people on set who help with... evidence retrieval and stuff, but yeah, that's always going on, and yeah.
You had 2 or 3 serial
Keeping
killers
things
that
simple.
worked on the show as technical advisors.
Yes.
According to the dossier.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would spend time with them?
Actual serial killers, yeah, no.
What kind of research?
Maybe.
Yeah, none of my business. What kind of research goes into the initial design of a lovable sociopath? I mean, you've been asked a zillion times how you build Dexter. I guess what might interest me at this point, how much of the original design
Is still there.
stays at the ready for you in terms of any day's work?
Right.
Like you mentioned about the button pushing, but you know, part of that is that's who he is.
Well, exactly. That's what was really interesting about investigating the idea of this character initially, because actors are preoccupied, or at least some or most, with cultivating a sense of authenticity, and really, you know, you'll hear an actor say, I didn't feel it, or I wasn't quite with it, I wasn't quite connected to it. And this guy's like thrown that out the window. So I'm connected to nothing. It's all a simulation. It was sort of liberating, you know, to not have the obligation to have that preoccupation with authenticity, you know. I mean, there's a flip side. It'll make you crazy if you think about it too much. But I knew he needed to be sort of affable, and he's changed a lot. I mean, he's a lot heavier now.
Right.
He's got a lot more weight on him because he's tried to have his cake and eat it too, or kill it too, and be a human-esque
But even
person.
when you're not connected,
Yes.
even when the character is not supposed to be connected, you still have to act and be connected to not being connected.
You have to be connected to his need to appear to be connected.
Yeah. So there's no disconnect for you.
Right. Right.
He has that freedom.
Right. He
You
has
have to
that
act
freedom.
it.
Right.
You have to make it believable.
Right. But it was nice to. There was just more of a sense of playfulness with whatever you were doing. There wasn't that sort of. You weren't bound to that sense of obligation for it to feel real.
Right.
In a way that and.
Oh, I see. Because he's so sort of dead.
Yeah. Supposedly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, the concept and the cheat of a serial killer who only kills the bad guys
Right.
is spectacular. Almost in a sense of, how is that never a thing? It seems so painfully obvious.
Right.
Because we've had vigilantes,
Right.
but they were never considered serial killers.
Right.
They were just vigilantes.
Right.
Killing the bad guys.
They loved justice primarily. They didn't need to kill people.
Exactly. So the fact that we've dashed in, if you will, a flavor of sociopath. When is the moment where the character feels something? How many seasons in are we before?
I think he's really. I think this show is the story of someone whose appetite for human connection is whetted almost immediately with the ice truck killer. This guy who he discovers is his brother, and he, in spite of himself, has a desire to feel some sort of connectivity to that person.
Right.
And his little compartmentalized world starts to fade away, and it's initially attractive, and but it's someone who's, the tragedy of the guy is that it's not the fact that he's killing people that's doing, not him in exclusively, but the people around him in. It's his appetite to be human.
Right.
That's kind of screwing everything up.
That's what's fucking him up.
Yeah.
I want to be like everyone else.
But I think his sense of himself as a feeling person or someone who has the capacity for humanity in a way that he didn't initially think happens almost immediately in the show. Maybe the big marker is before and after Rita gets killed. That's the point where it's not fun and games anymore. People are implicated in this appetite he's indulging.
Right.
And
well, here's the fine line that I'm curious about how you either connect to or not. I have a problem when I see a movie and the character is supposed to be insane and they're allowed to be glib.
right.
An example would be that I've given, perhaps, Robin Williams in The Fisher King. So at one point he's cowering in the street and there's a horse coming at him and he's breathing fire out of his nose, and that's a crazy person who sees that. And then a few scenes later he's around a little dinner table in someone's kitchen and he's being Robin Williams. Whoa, don't be frightened. And he's being glib and it's hilarious and fun. Well, that can't be the same person.
Right.
So for me, the struggle is, from an actor standpoint, the disconnect. If I can kill and move on and process that, or refuse to process it, it's just a part of the machine that I am. Then I am disconnected from any sort of empathy
Real,
and consciousness of what I've done. And then that person has to learn, as you say, to interact and fit in with others. Initially, the challenge of that, incredibly fun and exciting. Please tell me yes.
Yes.
Right?
A blast.
Right. Is there a moment in time when that's not the case?
Yeah.
Not just because you're having a bad day. Obviously, for the writers, that is a huge challenge that they have to try to reinvent every season.
Right.
We're on our 8th.
Yeah. I mean, as far as him taking on these relationships, it seems like he's always been in service ultimately to his need to kill.
Right.
And even the seemingly most rich human interactions he has somehow in his mind get turned into tools that make him an even more potent killer.
Yeah.
Which is messed up.
And fantastic.
But yeah, I think I have an appetite to play just a regular guy. You know, somebody who's not so uniquely, magnificently, heavily afflicted or capable. Maybe somebody to whom crazy things happen, but who himself is, a guy.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, it's
A romantic
fun,
comedy might
and
be.
it's heady,
Yeah.
and it's a sort of tonal tightrope.
Well, that's it.
To honor the fact that he is a killer and he does have that appetite, and he's off,
Therefore crazy.
but also
Has to fit in.
affable, likable, relatable somehow. You know.
Yeah, from the beginning, you're challenging the audience to fall in love with and root for.
Yeah, you're sort of giving them permission to, and it's if he weren't killing bad guys,
Well, there's
we wouldn't have a show.
There's the you've given permission to.
Yeah.
By the way, that's the hey, more water because then we might have to pee ourselves. There is the great part. You've given permission to, which, the audience doesn't need a lot of permission to root for the bad guy.
Right.
There's a part of us that wants to, but okay, so you've given permission, and now they want him to be a little more each week. But you have to maintain the reality of it.
Right.
So when the writers are breaking stories, are you in there? Do they check in with you? Because
they check in with me generally. I mean,
Right.
I'll have a meeting with them, or with the head writer at the beginning of the season to get the broad strokes, and we'll periodically check in. Not really about what happens, but about how it happens. I mean, it's always been interesting to me to, even though Dexter has become more and more human and has more and more sort of nuanced relationships and feelings, I always thought it was interesting to argue at least that he's just playing at it.
Right.
Still.
Right.
You know, that it's just this really sick indulgence.
Because that's pretty delicious.
Yeah, it's also relatable. I
Yeah.
mean, I think all of us at times feel like, am I really the person that I play in my life?
Right.
You know, this actor who shows up in the makeup trailer and talks to people, and people say, "Oh yeah, that guy." Like, who is that guy? or the husband or the what? You know.
Right.
So that's part of what I love about Dexter are the things that make him so out there and crazy and unique are the things that make him so relatable. You know, his sense that he's not capable of authentic human emotion or what. I mean, I think we can all relate to that.
Yes.
Maybe it's just me.
No.
But I think that's
I think what we do is, especially if you're in a relationship where there's just people around all the time, be it from work or play or home, you need a break from that. And it isn't until you're absolutely alone
yeah.
that, and I would venture to say we all have some sort of ritual or some sort of something that we only do when we're absolutely alone as a reminder, oh yeah, this is just us.
Right. My meditation is shitting.
Mine is when throwing a party at the house, I go upstairs into the room that the cat is sequestered, and we just sit down for a second.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And she's real happy about it, and she doesn't say anything, so I'm happy about it. And unfortunately, I can hear everyone downstairs still. But yeah, it isn't. That's interesting. It isn't until you're absolutely alone. So I think it is easy to then insist that you've stumbled across a pretty great human fact. That we're all putting on airs to some point, and we all put on some sort of performance. And I think social anxiety and phobias are sort of created from that's just too foreign. That's just I'm not comfortable doing that.
Right.
And maybe those people are even more in touch with who they really are than we give them credit.
Yeah, the ones who feel like cons.
Yes. I'm only comfortable being me. Don't ask me to put on a face. That actually freaks me out.
Right.
I can't relate to those people at all.
Right.
Because I've suffered from hey, look at me disease since the age of 6.
Right.
Dexter's guest stars, enemies. I've made a little list here. Include the best in the business. This coming from Sean Trenery from the Facebook. Which celebrity do you wish you could have had as a guest star for Dex to dispose of? That's not a bad question at all. Who do you hate in show business? What kind of a question is that? That's fantastic. So it allows me, though, to bring up the Lithgow, the Keith Carradine, the Jimmy Smits, the Colin Hanks, the Peter Weller. There's been such a great wealth of characters, many others, who not all necessarily ended at your hand, but
Right.
how that's got to be a crazy fun. Let me just put a pin in that for a second because I was reminded of a question I had when you were answering about checking in with the writers at the beginning of the year. Are there things that tap into what we talked about previous in terms of the restraints, the this and the that, the pushing button number 5 of playing the character that maybe at the outset before a new season you might have said to that showrunner that year, hey, can we avoid this or that for the whole season because it feels like this? Were there any of those kinds of things, or was it more minutia and everyday kind of things? Or something was suggested. You said, didn't we kind of cover that last season?
There was a story idea. You know, I have rarely just squashed things, or like I said, it's more about how we get there. It's not about where we're going necessarily. For me,
false moments and stuff you want to.
Yeah,
stop.
there was an intern who showed up who gained a fascination with Dexter, and they were going to have him become so fascinated with Dexter, or the idea of Dexter, that he was going to commit a serial murder himself. And that was one I said, no. I mean, I know this is a fantastical world, and there are a lot of serial killers in Miami in this world.
Yeah.
But not another one in the department, not one in the cubicle next door. I can't, I felt like, no, I'm the serial killer in Miami Metro.
But clearly, as funny as that is,
Yeah.
it's a falsehood. It's a
Yeah.
sense of Come on, guys, really?
Yeah, I mean, I think they sort of sometimes can get in love with an idea in terms of the way it
Sure.
it generates other ideas or ties certain plot points together and not step back far enough to realize that it's ill-advised. So, in that instance, I came in. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it would have been great, but I wasn't really.
I remember that storyline well. I thought it was great.
Yeah, the way it actually unfolded.
The way it actually unfolded was great. It really helped move the story, and it was his own real character, and it seemed real.
Yeah. No, I mean the obsession and fascination was great. It's just I didn't want anybody else to kill somebody Dexter style.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle it.
What the fuck is that about? Let's give you a chance then to answer the question if you're inclined solely to
That
phrase
question.
things horribly. Is there someone that you'd like to be cast on the show that you could have killed?
Well, I saw Kevin Spacey at a party, and he was sort of lobbying to be on Dexter as a big bad. This was, I think, right before House of Cards materialized. And
I'll
that
bet he's not the only
went away.
one, though.
But yeah, I mean, that's a real shot in the arm. That's pretty cool. And somebody of that caliber is saying, yeah, that would be fun. It'd be fun to, spend some time with you guys.
That can't be the only time. There's been other people I maybe didn't even reach you.
Who've lobbied me directly. I think it might be the only time. But, oh gosh.
Yeah. Or well, let's just go down that. How fun was it to dance with Lithgow? I mean,
That was. I mean,
how do you follow that? He's so great.
well, I know he's incredible. He's quantum. He's great though. He was great to watch because he approaches it with such a sense of exuberance and play. I mean, he's able to communicate this darkness effortlessly, it seems, and this whimsy at the same time. And I think it's because he has such a sense of play.
Yeah.
It's just make-believe,
Yeah.
He doesn't claim to be, in the method way, invested in what he's doing, and yet is so
In the moment.
in the moment and convincing. And it's been amazing working this season with Charlotte Rampling, who is
tell us
an
what you can.
icon.
Yeah.
Well, she herself is she has such a sort of ageless energy
Yeah, what the
about
hell?
her. She has these, just magnetic eyes. It's so nice that, they cast this woman who emerges as someone who's really pivotal in Dexter's backstory and current story, who's so effortlessly mesmerizing. I don't have to pretend, I just sort of
That she's
look
freaking
at
you
her.
out?
Yeah. And but I mean, yeah, when the Rolling Stones were in town, and they did that quiet little show that I was thinking, well, who do I know who might be able to get me into there? And she was the only person I could think of.
And it worked?
No, I didn't call her. I didn't have her number.
Really? You decided,
Another great story.
You decided not.
No, but I did bring it up to
hassle
her
her?
that I thought about it, and she was like, oh, yeah, I didn't go. She couldn't be bothered.
Correct answer.
Yeah.
I like that a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Who wants to be in a room with 300 people to watch the Rolling Stones? Sounds horrible.
Not me.
No. Keith Carradine. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's, yeah, I mean, Nashville.
Yeah.
He's such a great guy. Like, just a
Salt of the earth.
sweetheart. Yeah. I mean, I do feel like the show has somehow attracted people who are really
Sweet. Is it
Sweet.
sweeter than Colin Hanks, for example?
Yeah, I mean,
That's ridiculous.
He's a sweetheart. John Lithgow, I thought he was messing with me.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you care? Why are you so nice?
Yeah.
No, he's a mensch. And,
Yeah.
And yeah, Jimmy Smits, Colin.
When I worked
Yeah.
with Lithgow, I always thought he was going to bring in cookies the next day.
Yeah.
That had just been made that morning.
Yeah.
That kind of ridiculous sweetness. Like he's also somebody's den mother.
Yeah, yeah. You knock on his trailer door and he has an apron. He's
Yeah.
making them.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah. Peter Weller, on the other hand, who sat at that very seat.
Yeah, razor blades in your cookies.
Yeah.
He's great. But
Yeah. But there's some wheels turning that we're not aware of or privy to. But also, what a wonderful venue for him to play in.
Yeah.
You know, he's certainly great in the new Star Trek movie, and
He's been doing a lot of directing too.
been doing a lot of directing. He spoke about that. But that must have been fun.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's every time there's someone who I spent time watching in the movie theater when I was a kid, and I'm in the transpo van with them. It just feels,
Yeah.
like I need to pinch myself again.
Speaking of Peter Weller directing, you directed. I was surprised to see your first episode.
Yeah.
This season.
Yeah, yeah. I'd been invited, or
Sure.
my representatives had forced them to invite me to direct,
course.
as often happens.
Build it into a negotiation.
Yeah, and it's tough because I can't really prep unless it's the first one we shoot, because I'm shooting all the time. And I was geared up to do a couple, but independent films came up that abutted with our schedule, and I just backed out. And I had mixed feelings about it. I thought, my ability to do the job really would be compromised, not because of inexperience, but mostly just because I'm in the show so much.
Almost every frame.
Yeah, and but I must say, after spending 7 seasons preparing, or spending time with this crew, and it was rather than it was more fun than I hoped it would be.
Right.
Not less fun than I feared it would.
I'm
not
going to
be.
predict you were instantly hooked by it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what happens. But it was great. I really enjoyed it, and it was the second episode, and that was the first time I really worked in any significant way with Charlotte. So to see, it was great, sweetie, but it's kind of crazy to give her notes. But she's such a sort of open, collaborative spirit, so that was fine. But
Was there ever moments of intimidation from? You don't have to name names. I'm not interested in that. But it's a big task. These annual guest stars on your show take on. And I would assume, after this many seasons, not every one of them is comfortable initially with it's all just one big happy family here.
right.
I would assume coming into that environment, I mean, there's always that moment when you visit some friend on the set of something, and you can last maybe 10 minutes before it's the most boring place on the planet.
Right.
Because everyone has something to do, and they all have shorthand way of speaking to each other. It's beyond family. It's a unit.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's that aspect, too, you're stepping into, let alone creatively, everyone knows what they're doing but you. Were there moments where you were able to sort of take someone by the hand and say, it's going to be okay, or
I think just
fuck with someone?
Not so much the second, but I think just to make myself available to that person, and they might not have any questions or any desire to get onto a new set and rehearse something before the cameras show up, but to let them know that I'm there, and and I feel like Charlotte. I mean, she's been on movie sets with the greatest directors and everything, but there is something about jumping onto the moving train of a television show, like you say, and the pace at which we shoot things, that I think was a little jarring for her initially.
Well, was there ever this moment from any of the annual co-leads, as it turns out, where you might have said, hey, by the way, open door, anything, everything, I know this can be a crazy world to step into, I just wanted you to know that I'm here for you, and that person said, I got it. That would be fun. Did that ever? I'm good.
No.
Okay. That's just the comedian in me that hopes for something.
No. I can appreciate that.
Edward James Olmos.
Yeah, he said, never talk to me. And don't look at me in the eye unless the cameras are rolling.
Yeah.
And even then,
And even then,
look here.
right here, fuckface.
It was
Third
Edward
eye.
James Olmos, the Edward James Olmos impersonator.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
I hang out with. That was one of my favorite jokes
Did
on
you
30
just-
Rock ever. I
That's
wish I
good.
just came up with that.
I just did my Edward James almost.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah, you're welcome. I should have thought of that earlier.
son of a bitch.
That's right. We're still here.
Okay, so I got to ask, when you're again, it's just, I'm sorry to keep coming back to it, but it just seems almost unprecedented. The run between the two shows almost back to back, and then you factor in either you or an ensemble cast getting nominated every single year. What about that first win? SAG and Golden Globe same year, I believe. Right before the cancer.
It was during, actually. I was during.
Oh, Jesus.
You know, I was gonna just
Yeah,
do that and not tell anybody.
sure.
But it was actually because I was invited to these award ceremonies that I let people know that I had the cancer because I didn't have eyebrows, and I felt like people would wonder why I didn't
They
have
should
eyebrows. And so it was a real shot in the arm. I mean, I was, no pun intended, but I was probably 2/3 of the way through the treatment when I got those awards, and it was like in an off week, so I was feeling pretty good, and it was nice. And
Yeah.
life goes on.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, in an almost opposite world version of, you need to get a little perspective of the real life while you're working on this show.
Right.
You're working on your own life
Right.
in the most arduous, ridiculous, surreal possible way.
Right.
And all the issues you mentioned with your father.
Yeah.
And show business is a little vacation
Yeah,
for you to
a
say,
little fantasy injection.
yeah.
Yeah.
The timing of it, I found, this guy's winning life. This is, I mean, at what's supposed to be the most difficult struggle of your real life, you hit a high point in your creative life
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Nice little reprieve.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I mean, I was feeling confident. I think it went into official remission probably a couple weeks after that, and that was what I was led to believe would happen.
Sure.
But,
All signs point to.
yeah, but yeah, it was unbelievable.
Did you prepare as much as you could? I mean, after being nominated for
In terms
things,
of what I would say, I was
Yeah.
pretty accustomed to not winning.
Well, that's-
I called myself the Susan Lucci of pay cable, and you can call me that too if you want.
I have.
I understand.
I'm glad I'm allowed, I'm
No,
allowed
it's good.
to,
It's
finally.
just on the.
Yeah.
But you know, I had some sort of vague outline in my head. I
Right.
didn't have some verbatim speech.
Did you ever think about if this ever does go my way, maybe I'll say something funny?
Yeah, you know, I feel like.
Do you want to do you want to be caught rather being just sincere?
Right.
In a surreal moment like that? It's funny because we had Alan Arkin here, and he had told me the greatest acceptance speech I'd ever heard in my life.
Right.
15 years ago.
Right.
And then when he won for Little Miss Sunshine, he melted, became jelly, and just was overly sincere and walked off.
Right.
He had the funniest prepared
In
for
his
15
pocket.
years
Right.
that he had shared with friends.
Right.
I
I mean, there's definitely it sort of goes both ways. You're playing this dark character in a dramatic show, and people are a little less sort of open or receptive to you being funny if
Yes.
you're that guy.
Right.
But there are also, you know, lots of opportunities given the subject matter of the show to work in some potentially funny stuff. John Lithgow actually said his plan for his ultimate acceptance speech is very wise choice. And that's it. And just leave.
Yeah.
That's
Fantastic.
ballsy.
By the way, also a damn good Lithgow.
Yeah.
Yeah. See? Also in your wheelhouse. Put that one in your quiver. So you had a little something?
Yeah, I thought about, it's nice. The arguably justifiable serial murder brings people together, and stuff like that. But no real zingers.
Well,
so I say sincere.
Yeah, the thing about the Lithgow thing is that's just a historical belly flop if it doesn't go the way it's intended.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That could really,
Yeah.
really be bad.
And in your case, the audience's awareness of you is as just a dramatic actor.
Right.
If they just know you from 13 years of this television phenomenon.
Yeah.
At any point during those 13 years.
Yeah, if you're not a
That's-
comedian,
right.
I don't know that a acceptance speech is a time to broaden people's experience of who you are and what you can do. Just
Yeah.
say thanks.
Maybe the Golden Globes is not open mic night.
Yeah. But even Daniel Day-Lewis, though, he won the Oscar for Lincoln, and he tried to make some jokes there.
He
did.
He went for it.
Yeah.
And a lot of, maybe 50-50.
Yeah, well, I think he's bored. His dad's a poet laureate. He does these incredibly eloquent speeches, dedicates his awards to other actors, and I think he was just like, you know what, I'm just going to be not myself this time. I don't know.
Well, yeah, as you become the only actor to ever win 3 Best Actor Academy Awards,
Right.
which was a surprising statistic, I think, to some people to
Yeah.
find out that hadn't happened. And he chose that opportunity to be, I'll be at Uncle Fuck's Chuckle Hutch next Thursday through Sunday.
Yeah.
Here's a couple of what you can
Yeah.
look forward to.
You thought Abraham Lincoln was funny. I'm funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. Not so fast.
Right.
You guys should have seen his material at the BAFTAs. He killed.
Well, that's
Right.
his backyard.
Yeah. They're,
Home court. They know he's funny. Okay. What is your? You mentioned Italy. Are there favorite over? Because along with this succession of years of work is because they're both cable shows. You do have these, like I mentioned, longer hiatus than your average bear doing a television series from the broadcast world. Are there built-in phases that might benefit you as you stare down the barrel of a different kind of hiatus in a couple of weeks? Are there certain rituals like, all right, as soon as we're down, I book the thing and I go to and I drive because I have to be at the place, and or is it every year I just mess it up?
Yeah, I have taken advantage periodically of free flights overseas and done a little bit of a press tour thing and then taken a vacation. And I might look into that opportunity if it presents itself.
Is that how much of a delay before it lands over there, as it were?
It's pretty, I feel like initially there was a bit of one, but they've caught up so that I went to Paris this past hiatus and went to this restaurant that a friend recommended, and it was in a tiny little off the beaten path, non-touristy block. And this woman stepped up as I was paying the check and said that she produced the French dubbed language version of Dexter. And this guy came over her shoulder and said, "This is Dexter!"
No.
And yeah, the guy who was the voice of Dexter showed up. And I went the next morning and watched them dub the beginning of the 7th season. There were it was French Dexter, French Deb, French Batista, French LaGuardia, French Masuka.
They were all there?
Doing his sort of Frenchified Masuka laugh. It was like, instead of like, huh, it was like, huh.
There's a difference. There's a difference.
It had a little more, but they were amazing. Those guys, that's skill.
Yeah.
They had the cadence and just the quality of yeah.
Could you be objective seeing the guy doing you or doing your character? Is he in fact doing a
Well, they
version?
have this, this like standing room only, like opera thing, you lean against behind the monitors, and so they'll really play the scenes and gesticulate and Frenchify it. I don't know. I mean, he wasn't really doing me to look at me, but as far as the cadence and there was something.
Yeah. Well, dubbed means he's matching a visual.
Right.
So he's got to be within the...
Right, but he's got to get so many more syllables in, you know?
Or less.
Or less.
Which is the harder part. How
Yeah.
do you stretch?
We.
Yeah, the German Dexter. Now that guy's got his homework.
That's tough, because
That
the
is
verbs
tough.
all come at the end.
Oh man.
How international are we talking?
I went to Istanbul, and there were all these little Turkish schoolgirls. One of them was like, "Tonight's the night," which is the first line of the pilot.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Really?
Yeah, I actually, it's pretty widely disseminated, this show.
Do they have, has someone in marketing ever mentioned an actual number? You know, we're in, you know, those people who love to
No, I mean,
shout
those are the kinds
statistics.
of numbers back to the renegotiation process that they try to hide from me, so they're not really upfront about.
Well, you
all
would
that
think that
stuff.
your reps doing their homework
Well,
would
yes.
say, look, we're
Yes.
now in 94 countries. I don't want to hear you can't pay that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this number doesn't even honor Africa. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. You've got a while before you will travel to these other countries where it's not in rotation.
Right.
So yeah, I would say take
For a
it.
while, it'll be what's happening, and eventually, it'll be what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened to you?
But there has to be a part of you, as we were saying, that's got to be looking forward to that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think Dexter will probably be on my tombstone, but it's
I mean,
it'd be
Jimmy's
nice for it to
Yeah.
die down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every actor, no matter what level, I've always heard and read. Jimmy Stewart, one of the examples, would finish a film and say, "Well, that's it. I'll never work again," and meant
Oh, yeah.
it, meant it, and felt it. It wasn't just something to say.
Yeah,
like,
it's not an
knock
affectation.
wood. Right.
No, it's actually they've caught on. It's over.
Right.
Yeah.
Having not had an opportunity to feel that, I would say commit to it. You've been unavailable to that sort of feeling for 13 years.
Yeah.
I say lean into it.
Yeah. Well, this is definitely a time where I want to, just breathe through whatever it is, whatever comes up. You know.
Yeah.
I read this. There was that Entertainment Weekly article. The guy sort of characterized Jennifer as the heart of the show and me as the head of the show, and that I'm kind of cool and detached. And I don't know, maybe I am, but he said he asked me how I felt about the show ending, and I only talked about what I would feel, and I listed all these contrary feelings. But that's how I feel. I mean, there's so much I can't ascribe my feeling right now to one thing. It's such a riptide
And unknown
stew of stuff.
and unknown territory.
Yeah.
Truly. I mean, that was the thing I was getting at, which is because it's so unknown, because it's something you haven't experienced yet, absolutely fall face first right into that pile of goo.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, I think it's an amazing opportunity, actually, to A, see how fun it is to say no, and then from that comes a magical yes. I think that what happened when the Dexter was no shit after 6 Feet Under, when that pilot script became that experience.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately inevitable. So, I mean, like you say, Dexter's on your tombstone. I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe just the obituary.
Yeah, it certainly, please. If it bleeds, it leads. It certainly works for you.
Yeah, totally. I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of projects, according to the dossier,
Oh, yeah.
that I wanted to ask you about. American Dream Machine, still a thing?
Oh, American Dream Machine is this amazing novel by Matthew Spector.
Right.
Just was really well reviewed in the New York Times Review of Books, and I showed it to Showtime, and they optioned the book, and I'm interested in being involved as a producer on that.
Right.
But that's very much in its infancy.
Right.
Yeah.
But those are the kind of infancies, though, that you can actually focus on.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that I want to do another television series as an actor right away, but I don't want to forsake what I've learned and who I know and the kind of things I'd like to see.
Yeah, how can you not be a production company entity with a shingle and an office to do that? How has that not happened over the last 13 years?
Well, I gotta. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's time, and I'll get an office at Sunset Gower.
You didn't have any time,
Right.
and you clearly need an infrastructure, or
Right.
I mean, but I would foolishly assume that the opportunity
Is there? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, one thing at a time, you know. And now is a time where maybe I can start focusing on
take some time
that kind of thing.
and think about it.
Any interest in doing 5 shows in a weekend?
5 shows in a weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know I said TV instead of Broadway, and that's because TV is where I've done the things that have been the most sort of artistically compelling. But yeah, I could do 5 shows. 5 shows in a weekend.
Well, in the middle of the 6 Feet Under, was that when you returned and did the Chicago revival?
Yeah.
A couple of years in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there was a little taste of that.
There was a little taste of that, and then I did a play called Mr. Marmalade that the Roundabout produced right when Dexter was just starting. But this is the longest I've gone without being on stage in my life.
So you've got to have a
Yeah.
Jones in a little.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah.
I want to include the wonderful people. What will you miss about playing Dexter? We covered. Please ask if the show concludes the way that you always thought it would for Dexter, and if not, is he happy with the finale? All right. Well, we're not going to talk about the way it ends because it's just going to be annoying and.
We haven't shot it yet. I hope I'll be happy. I'm happy in my projected imagining of what it's going to be like, but we'll see how it all plays out.
I'm going to make a prediction. Please don't respond.
Okay.
Hands over mouth for those of you just listening. He put his hands over his mouth.
Patrick Duffy in the shower.
No.
Newhart wakes up in bed.
Is creative people have thought this through to the future, and they know that a Dexter movie is a really smart idea for 2 to 3 years from now. And so the ending will allow that to happen. There you go. I said it.
I'm going to stick with mine.
comment.
Duffy in the shower.
No comment. What?
Duffy in the shower.
Yeah. Well, after the Veronica Mars, I don't think we need Kickstarter in this case. The fans, they're going to go on their own little fucking problem in terms of what the future holds.
Right.
We dabbled a little in the Comic-Con, but, and I didn't want to go through a sort of list of your most awkward encounters with fans. I mean, 1 or 2 wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But, they're gonna come a calling. Mm-hmm. Anyways, that's my little prediction, and thank you for not commenting.
I'm just going to ask a question.
Yes, please.
If that's okay, because I want to reword it a little bit. But from Twitter at Connoisseur, spelled all funkily, saw a photo of you performing at UCB, and he wants you to talk about that because you're not from an improv background, I guess.
I'm not. I mean, I did some improv comedy when I was in college.
Certainly.
Off the cuff.
Yeah.
We were called.
Well, what, were you really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yes.
Well, that's better than mixed nuts. Off the cuff?
What about Riot Act?
Riot Act is another one.
You can grab it, you can shake it, but be careful not to break it when you take it off the cuff. That was the last
Oh, no.
lyric of the song that we sang.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Something magic is about to begin. Something's gonna happen tonight. Something that it was awful.
So, you were this close to being...
Becomes outrageous under these lights. Give us a sign and we're gonna shine like a diamond in the rough. You can grab it, you can shake it, but be careful not to break it when you take it off the cuff. It was...
So you were seconds from being a touring regular of Capitol Steps.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Anyway, that was by the invitation of Ben Schwartz, who I think has been on your show.
Yeah, and I did his
became
thing.
a friend after
Snowpants.
I did a movie with him, and he invited me to join them. And I basically was like, whenever there was a lull, I would start masturbating and burst into tears. Your go-to sort of
I think that's
thing.
fair. We all know that to be the go-to.
Yeah. But it was. I'm not going to say fun. I'm going to say horrifying. But it was. I did have moments where I really did enjoy it, and I love watching those guys. I mean, it's really fun.
I'll bet incredibly fun when it's over.
Yeah.
It's like the first time a friend or somebody says, let's go backpacking. And you go, that sounds great.
Right.
And then maybe I'm speaking only from my own experience, but 2 days into the backpacking trip,
Yeah.
it's the worst thing you've ever done.
Right.
For the remainder of the backpack trip, until the moment it's over, for the next week, when you can only recall it as the greatest thing that ever happened.
Right.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
So I would
It's
imagine...
the greatest thing I ever done. It's actually just the greatest sense of relief you ever felt when it ended.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Which maybe brings us to the end of Dexter. Oh! Woo!
That
Just
was good.
relief.
That was good.
You're just going to feel
That was
relief.
the best interview I have ever done.
That's just the relief talking. That's just the relief talking.
God, I want to do it again.
That's just relief talking. Oh, man. I can't thank you enough for spending a couple of hours with us, as it turns out. We got to, I think, enough of the folks writing in to sate them, as it were. What about, now that you've got a little taste of directing, have you done any writing along the way? Is that something that ever interests you?
It certainly interests me, but I don't know that it's in the wheelhouse of my capabilities. I mean, I like to express myself as a writer. I like to, put thoughts down and communicate them to people. But as far as writing scripts,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's intimidating if it's not your thing.
It's intimidating. It's not my thing. I enjoy the fact that this is a collaborative endeavor, and I feel like I'm able to collaborate with writers. But it's not sort of on the list of things that but that might change.
And what about directing again?
That I'd be interested in doing again. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Especially somebody else's thing.
Yeah, where I got to stay in the director's chair the whole time.
Yeah. Is it weird to be in a scene with someone and say, and cut?
Yes.
While you're looking
in fact, in the dailies, especially with Charlotte, I couldn't say it with a straight face. Like every time I said cut, you could piece together. It was like, and cut, just cut, and cut. It felt so. Okay, here's an embarrassing story.
Please.
I was sleeping beside my girlfriend while we were shooting the show, and I was, somewhere in that place between asleep and awake. Enough so that I actually heard myself say it. I was just, action.
No. No.
Yeah. And it was, only one person witnessed it, but it was
Until now.
really embarrassing. Why did I share that?
I think that's pretty great.
She claims I'm unembarrassable, so.
It's okay. Kevin does the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other, you like this past week.
During
you-
sex.
Action.
Fall
This
asleep.
past
Cut!
week, you were talking in your sleep and you were saying something like, no, just put the chairs over there. That looks great. I'm like, what?
Oh, you dozed off on the couch a few weeks ago at the house, and you just went, just give me one more.
Yeah. I need another.
Just need one another.
I need another take.
Great, one more.
Yeah. I wonder if, it's a great...
Are we rolling? Okay.
Shooting the rehearsal? What?
That's a great scene that someone has to put into a script immediately.
Yeah.
Which is the director, who's so pretentious that as sex begins, says action. And then as he's coming, he says, and cut. That person needs to be on film.
Yeah. We have speed.
Roll sound!
He's ready.
Reload.
Prop! Reload is good.
We weren't rolling.
No. Did you bring protection? To which he responds, props!
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
See, already
That's good.
Already fun with the creating. All right. I threatened at the outset that there would be something called the Larry King game. So let me remind you. That's your camera when you're ready. You'll stare it down. I have Larry King glasses props if you're so desired. But really, it's that moment. Larry knows he's about to go to the phones for calls for either the guest or not. But he's about to go to the phones, and just before he goes to the phones, he throws out a Larry King fact or just a memory of something he did, whether it was earlier today or in his youth or whatever. Just some little Larry King moment that he shares that, again, nobody needed to know. That could be where the fun comes from. I see the Larry King jowls already beginning. When you're ready, sir, there's no incorrect way to do this.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I used to masturbate my dog, and when the dog ejaculated, I would reward it by feeding it my boogers. Boise!
We can't ask for more, sir. Wow, nice. That's how you play the Larry King game. It's really our secret way to find out certain things about our guests that we otherwise wouldn't know.
Right.
And then they try to pass it off as a Larry King.
Right, I was able to reveal a deep, dark secret about myself.
Exactly right.
Larry King.
I can't thank you enough, honestly. And I wish you peace and tranquility in 3 weeks' time.
Thank you.
Yeah. And some me time. By that I mean you.
Right, right.
I'm not going to come calling.
Right. Does anybody do a Kevin Pollak impression?
I've had a couple of. The first state. You're not
serious?
You're not offering one.
You're not offering one.
No one's done one here, so thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jimmy Fallon did you, but he was just doing impressions.
Yeah.
Impressions of your impressions.
Yeah, he wasn't really doing
One of
you.
And a lot of people do impressions of your impressions,
Well,
I'm sure.
That's another
Because it was a
conversation.
celebrity poker.
Yeah. I hosted the first
sketch.
season of Celebrity Poker Showdown. And so I would do impressions as I was calling hands out while the people were playing. So any chance at SNL to have a scenario wherein their cast members can do impersonations, they will do. So we handed them a gift with that show. And so Jimmy Fallon played me, but it was really him doing, was it Peter Falk?
Well, he did like a couple, he did like Walken and Falk, but then it started being like he would do impressions that Jimmy Fallon knew how to do.
Of course.
So it was like you doing Adam Sandler, which you would never do.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah.
but
Which I actually.
I love Jimmy.
I brought that up to Jimmy Fallon when I did his show not too long ago, and he remembered and immediately started apologizing. And I said, "Are you kidding? That's a brag for me forever. Even if they're making fun of me, I was portrayed on SNL. That can't be a bad thing." But somebody in the supermarket, would turn around and recognize me from my voice. That was the first freak out for someone who does voices, that someone recognized me from my voice. And then I think, watching other people do a William Shatner, that was familiar. And then eventually there was a comedian recently at a club who, meeting me backstage, then did a routine of mine that was in my voice, not an impersonation, but actually just a bit of mine. Some point of view, observation, or whatever. But it was him doing me, and it was, that was wrong. That shouldn't have happened.
Right.
And you can't be objective about it.
Right.
Now I have to turn that back onto you. That must have happened. Were there impressions of your character done for you?
Not for me. A lot of people have. I haven't heard anybody do that. I mean, I'll hear the post-production employees when there's a voiceover cue that I haven't recorded yet, and I hear the temp, and I'll hear their sort of attempt to do the Dexter voiceover. That's sort of,
So they do.
I'm just so they do.
That's kind of great.
Yeah, that's good. And a lot of people, Halloween costumes. That's another thing. A lot of people have pictures on their phones. A woman wrapped in plastic.
We have a tattoo Josh, did you create an image that we can throw up? There it is.
Oh, I know. That's so unfortunate.
That's on somebody's
Yeah.
arm, I hope. What if that were a penis tattoo? No, that's somebody's arm, right? Is that what that was?
I'll
Josh?
take a look.
No idea. Oh, is that?
Maybe a calf.
That's the correct answer. No idea.
Yeah.
The woman's Twitter handle is @livosuction, LIVOSUCTION, and
I just hope it's one of many tattoos.
Yeah. If it's
it
just,
just says, "Really make my day if you show Michael my Dexter tattoo." She doesn't say.
and now
where
we
it's on.
have.
It looks good. I've actually seen some Dexter tattoos, and that's a particularly good one.
Throw it back up for a second. Yeah, there's the pretty great blood splats that we spoke of earlier, and that's got to be creepy, no? I mean,
It's weird.
Yeah,
But I see that, and I don't see like, oh, they have a tattoo of me. There's a tattoo of Dexter,
right,
which is
right. Which is
Me.
no different than a tattoo of Batman.
right. Right. Exactly.
He too
Is it?
a vigilante. See what I did?
Brought it all home.
Tell your friends about me.
Yeah. There's another one in the wheelhouse. What about Bane? I bet you can do
What
Bane.
was that?
Bane. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
They just do a strange Sean Connery.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, what you have to do.
Yeah.
What better way to wrap up this show than that?
Couldn't hear you.
Sit there uncomfortably if you wouldn't mind for 90 seconds while I wrap things up for the folks at home. But
Will
again,
do.
thank you
a
very,
pleasure.
very much. And we'll see how it all turns out at the end of this season for the Dexter fans. I've
June
made my
30th, right?
prediction. June 30th?
I believe that is
That's the premiere day.
Premiere
of,
day,
of this
yeah.
season. So you will be done by
Before.
the time it starts airing.
Not quite.
Just
Our
on
last
that-
day of shooting is July 9th.
Oh wow. Okay.
So there's a
we'll
little
be
overlap.
All right. Very
Yeah.
exciting.
A very good, damn good question, though.
Well,
Because all the press leading up to it, when you have to, before the June 30th premiere, I imagine you're going to be on the broadcast talk show circuit. Letterman loves you. Why not? Yeah, it's going to be, you're wrapping up the show right now. Oh, I don't envy that.
Yeah.
No, that's why I was trying to stay away from the ending thing, and I'm glad we did. All right. Speaking of ending things, let's end this thing. Sammy, Jamie, Kenny, David here in the studio. We've got a couple of couches now. We've just flown in from Sweden. By that I mean IKEA.
I see what you did.
Yep. And thank you. And we may have some sort of Twitter contest to see who's going to sit there. Next week, I think, might be Mantzoukas.
it is indeed, Jason Mitchell.
For those of you watching live.
The Mad Greek.
The Mad Greek, if you enjoy.
Do you think he's going to be wearing jeans and a white collared shirt?
Because that's all we've seen him in
That's all
for the
he-
last 7 years. Yeah.
By the way, we didn't mention when we saw Mantzoukas last how great of a job Michael C. Hall did as Kaiser Soze in that Lack My Life.
Oh, we did. You know what? Because we talked about it before we started the interview.
But he was phenomenal. You were
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, truly.
Amazing.
And
Kevin Spacey.
you and Chai McBride.
Oh my goodness,
had
as the Chaz Palminteri role was
task
fantastic.
of Chaz Palminteri and the Kevin Spacey created roles of Agent Kuyan and Verbal Kent. Jason Reitman does these stage readings with chairs lined up in front of music
Stands.
stands. Thank you. And he's been doing them now for 3 or 4 years. There's like 12, I think, per year. There's a season of these at LACMA, the museum here in Los Angeles. And that was your first time doing that. The Usual Suspects. I fortunately was not asked to do the character I did in the movie, but
You did it at a mean Gabriel Byrne
I got to
impression.
do Gabriel Byrne. And Jason Reitman is pretty specific when he says, whatever part you're playing, make it your own, own it. Don't do an impression from whoever did it in the movie. And I said, well, I've got no choice. Sorry, but you're kind of fucked up asking me to do Gabriel Byrne's character.
Right.
And I've never had so much fun in my life. But yeah, your commitment and Chai's together and those scenes together that kind of leads up to the end. I literally had chills, not exaggerating in any shape. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Well,
Yeah,
fun.
it was fun.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Crazy fun. You do it again?
Oh, yeah.
All right, good. Look forward to that, those of you in the Los Angeles area. All right, so write to us at contact@kevinpollakchacho.com if you plan on being in the Los Angeles area anytime soon, and you tell me a reason why you should be on one of these two wonderfully handmade couches during one of the live streaming airings of this particular show, and we'll see what we can do. Contact@kevinpollakchacho.com. I want to thank Josh, Jason, and Justin out there on the outer circle running the shuttle. Angie Johnson, sitting again, once again, for Samantha Ward, who returns from the homeland, as it were, otherwise known as Jerusalem. Soon? July?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She went for like I think she's in the middle of her trip. I think she went for like 3 weeks.
And I'm assuming our own social media maven, Elaine Ewing, is out there also by this point.
Yeah, she wanted to mention that she does an excellent Kevin Pollak impression, but only Hockney dying in.
Oh, she does.
Suspects. She does the.
She does do that. Ah, that slow burn to the death. Yeah, so there you go. I always forget someone. Did I indeed, in fact? I want to thank our sponsors.
Kenny,
again.
David? You got them?
Yeah, I got them from the beginning.
Okay. Well, I like that. I want to give them double thanks.
But thank you, because I always do forget. Until next time, and as always, get out of my face.